All right, Cecil, let's talk about this story from The Atlantic. The right has a blue sky problem. Since Elon Musk turned Twitter into X, the platform has faced user dissatisfaction due to perceived right-wing biases and worsening usability, prompting some liberals to migrate to alternatives like Bluesky, which has gained millions of new users. This shift risks transforming X into a conservative echo chamber. The more liberals leave X, the less value it offers to the right, both in terms of cultural relevance and in opportunities for trolling. While X retains network effects and user inertia, the growing exodus could diminish its influence and create a cycle of declining relevance as influential voices depart.
What really touched me about this article was the idea that the right needs your outrage.
Yeah.
The right, they feed on that outrage. And what I've seen since this last election is sort of a mass unplugging, right? There's been a huge drop-off in left-wing news and center news. You see CNN and MSNBC are posting really record low numbers. You're seeing people start to walk away from this, what has been a sort of battle. Gosh, it's, at this point, almost 8 years, right? And so you are seeing, I think, a group of people who are in a lot of ways so fed up with this, constant trolling and egging on by the right. And that's sort of what I think when we talked about this for years, that they're the party of trolling.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing, you can't, nothing is more apparent when you see how they interact with people on places like X and in other places, and in policies that they create, and in ways in which they talk to the media. All those things reflect that their entire political ideology has shifted to being a party of trolling. And I think there is a large group of people that at first wanted to fight against it, and now they're just like, yeah, man, I just don't want to listen to you anymore. I just don't care about what you have to say.
Yeah, it feels like rage bait requires a sea to cast into.
Yeah.
And if you're throwing your bait into an empty ocean, then there's nothing there anymore. There's nothing there. And pulling everybody who has any fucking sense and sensibility out of a place like Twitter and moving them into something like Bluesky, or just refusing to be in spaces. If there's a troll guarding the bridge and I'm just like, you can have the bridge, dummy, then what are you guarding?
Yeah.
You're guarding nothing. Mm-hmm. I think that there's I think that for a while in the culture war, both sides showed up, and it was an asymmetrical war, and it didn't play out well. And we've seen it. It just didn't play out well. And asymmetrical wars often don't play out well. And I think now it's like, well, I'm just not showing up to the battlefield, man. You can have that. You can stand around in a big empty field pointing your fucking cannons downrange, but I'm not there for you to shoot at. I'm over here. I'm doing my thing. I'm talking to people with sense. I'm here at my university. We'll talk about universities later, but I'm here at my university. I'm here with my group of colleagues. I'm here with the people that I love and care about, that I share ideals with. You can post your rage bait and you can all get mad at the same thing, but you're not converting anyone. That's it, man. Yeah. You go to church and you preach to the choir, you didn't fucking accomplish anything today.
For years, we've been hearing, don't feed the troll. Mm-hmm. Right. For years, we've been hearing it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us ignored that for a long time. I think we knew it. And I think it's one of those things, and you shouldn't do, but we still did it. Right? Yeah. You still entered into those spaces and had those conversations, even though they were fruitless, and wound up in a snit yourself, angry yourself, mad yourself, because these people seemed so unmovable. And so we're in this weird space now where I think people are trying to step away from that. Does that create, Tom, a left-wing echo chamber that never grows then?
100%. What we're talking about. But, in an America that's as divided as we are in right now, I don't know that I believe in the idea of a truly independent or undecided or non-ideologically connected person. I don't know that those people are large enough in number to really matter so much. And I guess what if instead of one space where, and I don't know this, and this is a genuine wondering, like what if instead of one space where what we had was bitter acrimony, what if instead we said, all right, you've got your space, show it to the world and see how appealing it is. And we have our space. Let's show this to the world and see how appealing it is. And we'll see which one of these two is more appealing for those people that really are in that center that I kind of only half-heartedly believe exist. So if I'm trying to convince somebody, hey, here's my worldview, and I've got my sort of like vision of that, and it's over here on, say, Bluesky, and you've got your vision of your worldview, it's over here on X. And I say, okay, pick one. I feel like that's an offering. That seems like actually a competitive marketplace instead of putting everybody in the same soup, stirring it real fast and being like, do you want to eat the slurry?
Yeah. Is it a marketplace of ideas, Tom?
I think it's two marketplaces.
Yeah.
And you're deciding which store you want to shop in, right? Sure. But I had a question that I want to ask you that occurred to me, and we're expanding the probably troll and bridge metaphor beyond the point of usefulness, but
I'm glad we're going there.
But it just occurs to me, and I think it's actually
now. What would you use for the trusses? Like the thing is if you got a good truss,
are we talking
how many
suspension
goats
bridge?
are we talking about? How many goats to move the trusses into the right position?
So listen to the Brooklyn Bridge episode of Citation Needed, and then come back. We got a lot of bridge technology to discuss.
Bunch of guys died of asphyxiation or whatever.
No, but you got the bends and you're underneath the water. So
amazing.
No, but like when we all did ignore the don't feed the trolls. I ignored it. I know many other people ignored it, right? And I'm wondering, like, I never felt like I was going to convince the troll. I never felt like I was going to turn the troll around. But I do think that there was an idea that these were public conversations.
Debate. Yeah. It's a debate.
So was I trying to, was the audience the troll, or was the audience the other people sort of trying to enter the bridge?
Sure. Yeah. Was I having a public debate with someone, just like, say, a Matt Dillahunty versus Dinesh D'Souza, let's say. And the Dinesh D'Souza followers that came to that debate are never going to believe anything Matt Dillahunty says.
Right.
But when someone listens to this on the internet later on, 10 years later, they're gonna maybe be in that weird middle space where they don't know either one.
Right.
And then suddenly they're convinced of Matt Dillahunty's arguments because there is no way you could convince me anyway that Dinesh D'Souza could convince anyone of anything at any time in history. But I think you're right. I think there is something to that. But I also feel like there's a flippancy to the internet and a flippancy to comment sections, et cetera, that make it so that even if you do have all the right answers, and let's say you stayed as calm as possible in the thing, the point is to make you mad. So if they do make you mad at all, then they can just declare victory by making you mad. You mad, bro? Like that sort of thing. And so there's different rules. Yeah. It just feels like there's different rules there that you wouldn't have in like a regular conversation, and they would never think to do those things in a regular conversation. So I think the internet has created a weird social space for us. It's just a weird way to interact with other human beings. It's not something we have evolved to do. It's something we have to learn how to do. And so that learning takes time, and there's a learning curve. And I can't tell you the number of times that I've been contacted privately about a status I've made on whether or not that status was insulting someone. And then I've been like, no, I'm not trying to insult you. Like, I just made a status. It's cool, bro. Like we're still chill. But the reason is because we've never really practiced this.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so we're in this weird place with it. And so I recognize what you're saying, but I don't know that it's a one-to-one. It's a debate stage. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I know that's a long way to answer your question, but I don't know that it's a one-to-one debate stage. And I think it is weighted towards the troll.
I do too. That's what I mean by it's an asymmetrical war. And I think that's like, and it's because of the format. Like Marshall McLuhan, right? Like the medium is the message.
Sure, yeah.
I think that there's a lot of...
What other McLuhan do you know?
That's it. That's why are you calling me out publicly? I know Postman a little better. All right. Anyway.
I love it.
That was hurtfully true. That was hurtfully accurate.
It's
Perfectly accurate.
It's like when Eli says something about
That's true.
Proust,
Dude.
and you're like, come on, man, you never read any of that.
Name on anything. Yeah, no, that's 1,000% true. I actually will call myself out worse. I only know McLuhan through Postman. I've never read fucking one thing from McLuhan. Not once. I want to be honest, not a single sentence except for a sentence somebody else quoted about him to analyze his stuff in a different way. I am a liar, but I still agree with it. I think there's real value there in that idea.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Or at least like my concept of that. I know. It's funny. It's fucking true too. Like, so if the medium is reflective of the message, and I think that it is, it weights the conversation in unserious ways.
Sure.
And it weights the conversation, to your point, in flippant ways.
Yeah.
So like if you are a serious person in an unserious space, you're never like, that's fucking, you're trying to like, you're on the debate stage on a unicycle.
Yeah. You're doing the Ministry of Silly Walks.
Right. Yeah. And everybody's like, well, you look stupid. And you're like, I'm trying. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
So like, let's take, and like, think about the people who are exodusing. It's journalists, it's intellectuals.
Yeah.
Like
that's an important piece of this.
So who's over here? A bunch of non-intellectual, uninformed troll dipshits who understand the medium, but don't have a strong message.
Yeah.
They actually don't have anything to say. What they have is to react.
Yeah.
And if you pull out their ability to react, then they're like quoting themselves back to themselves. They're like, they're the guys who are like, "Hey, did you see 40-year-old virgin? Remember when the guy said this?" Like there's nothing there.
Boobs feel like sand.
Yeah. Like,
I do remember that.
That was awesome.
I have one final thought on this, and then we can close it up. And I lost it.
Was it about Marshall McLuhan? Because I only had one thing.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
And it wasn't even mine.
It wasn't even yours. I also want to point out, too, that being in charge of shit and running shit is hard.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing now, again, I think, is they caught a car that they don't know what to do with, right? I think that the party that was created around this is made for attacking other things and other ideas and not about building anything.
100%.
It's only about attacking things. So you will see a lot of things change in our government in the upcoming years, but all those things will be a negative. They'll be a net negative in your life. Going to try to tear down institutions that existed for years. They're going to do their best to try to change institutions that have been protecting us for years to not protect us. They're talking about mass deportations. The guy they got in there seems like he absolutely wants to do a bunch of mass deportations.
Yes, he does.
And so you're going to see, I think, what these policies mean. They're no longer an argument on Twitter.
Right.
They're a real thing that you can look at data for. So now you can talk all you want about how great a mass deportation could be on Twitter because it fires up all the people around you and it gets people to yell at you. But once you start doing that, you tell me how great it looks in reality. Even on your paper, it doesn't look good, let alone to how it's going to look when it actually comes
that's
to
true. Because like the conversation now is, this is what's going to happen. And it's everybody's prognosticating forward and saying, here's how I think it's going to play out. No, here's what I think it's going to play out. Yeah. And one side is like, well, the data shows it'll play out this way. And the other side's like, meh. And that's pretty much the other side. But now let's play it out. We're running the simulation.
Yeah, the simulation moves a step forward.
Right.
Now we get a chance to see.
We've thrown it all in there. The parameters are set. We hit fucking enter.
You've talked a lot about what's going to happen. Well, let's see.
Let's watch
Here's the thing is, a lot of reality-based people are going to be, they're going to be basically saying there's a leopard on your face for a long time.
Man. And look, I'll say it on the show. Like, if I'm wrong and everything gets better, I want to make sure that I say I was wrong. Things are better.
I agree. I don't have any faith that that's going to happen.
I literally can't imagine that.
I don't have any faith that that's going to happen.
But I want to make sure that I say it.